Hey guys, Jesse here, and today I'll be taking a look at the P-Bandai Master Grade Heavy Arms Custom EW. Now, this is a kit that many of us have been waiting for years, ever since the original Master Grade Heavy Arms came out. We were expecting a color variant, of this guy for years, and we just kept waiting, and it just never happened until now. So I'm very excited to be reviewing this kit and very excited to have it. I'll also be comparing it to the old high grade 1 to 100 heavy arms, which previously was our only way to get a heavy arms custom EW from Bandai. Now, I just want to say that I picked this guy up at Yamacon here in Detroit for about 110 bucks, which is about 20 or so dollars over what Bandai is asking on their P-Bandai site, which is a reasonable price, but I would say to not pay around the asking prices of many online retailers and other places, asking for over $150 or however much it was. It's just wrong. It's a really good kit. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing actually, but it is not worth 150 bucks. But I think I know, even for P Bandai, 90 bucks is, or near 100 bucks for a master grade is quite a lot for something so small. But I think I know where a lot of the money might be going to, which I'll point out later, which is something Bandai could have avoided, but we'll talk about it later. In any case, let's just move on to the review. Just looking at this guy, you can tell he's just a very well proportioned master grade. This guy is like 95% the original master grade heavy arm. So if you've built that kit before, there's very little new here, save from the color swap. So if you can't get the P Bandai kit, definitely consider taking the original master grade heavy arms and painting it. This kit was built to be designed to be painted, and you'll see why later. But in any case, the colors that we do have here are very accurate to what they should be. You have your nice like darkish tealish blue with your turquoise here, and a very like baby blue here for the cockpit and crotch piece, and then white and gray. So all looks really good and looks very accurate. One thing I will say is the stickers that you see here. So these are parts here in the chest. These teal, those are those turquoise. Those are stickers. I mean parts. Sorry. These are parts in here. These are stickers on the shoulders, front skirts, bagless shoulders, and back of the back skirts. And these stickers actually work really well. They fit really well. They're cut really nicely, and because it's recessed in there, they work. I was planning to use some Gundam marker, like I said in my last video, to fill in that color, but I didn't have to because these stickers just worked really well. I always try the stickers first just to see if I like them, and I will be keeping them. Now before I go on, I just want to say this is a mostly an out-of-box build. I did do some painting here because I do plan to weather this guy up, but I did do some painting for the missiles and some other parts, just because if I didn't paint them while building, it would be very difficult to disassemble and paint them later. So just a quick overview of the articulation. Head goes up and actually can go up even more because there's a bit of a hinge at the bottom of the neck. And then of course you got your ball joint, nothing special there. Arms are limited. The shoulders are very limited. They don't go up any further than that really. Then you have a double joint there, really good. Bottom of the torso is on a ball joint, rotates really well. Legs can go out, back. You've got a double joint knee, which is really nice. Mine, for some reason, going out is very stiff, and I'm afraid I'm going to snap it. It can go all the way out, about as far as that side skirt goes, but I don't want to stress it. I don't know, mine are very tight for some reason, so I'm not going to risk breaking my model. And then side skirts are all articulated and get out of the way just fine. So there's that for the articulation. Now just looking at this guy, one of the negatives or positives, it depends on what kind of builder you are, is that there's not a lot of surface detail. As you can see, the skirts are very plain, the legs are very plain, the arms have no panel lines whatsoever. So if you're the person who likes to scribe, again, just bless your soul, because that's some hard shit. You'll have a blast with this. There's a lot of customizing you can do. And again, since this is about 95% heavy arms, you can go online and just see how much customization people do to these things. But for those who like an out-of-box build with a lot of detail, this might disappoint you. It's very accurate to the line art, but yeah, there's just not a lot of molded detail. So talking about the open hatches, I haven't built the original heavy arms, just to cover that. I haven't built the original Master Grade heavy arms, so when I first started working with the open hatches here, it was just so much better than the high grade that I used to have. But the shoulders here open up. I painted all the missiles red. They usually come the same gray as the frame. So there's that. The chest, of course, opens up. Here's where we have some new pieces. In here, I also painted this. This usually comes all gray. You've got the quad Gatling guns, but the original did have the dual Gatling guns, and you have a new bracket pieces in there as well. You have the front skirts. And I'm being very careful with this because I haven't top coated it yet, so I'm trying not to scratch any paint. That piece in there usually comes all gray. The missiles aren't separate in that sense, so I had to hand paint those missiles. So there's that. Close up the chest here. Side skirts, this also just works so much better than the original. You've got your missiles here, again all separate, very nice. Missiles on the legs, and again those are all separate. You've got a rack, in a sense, like one piece with all the missiles that you put in there, then you have a piece that goes over and fills in the gaps in between. So you can just paint that entire piece of missiles color and it'll all be hidden. It's very nice. This kit was designed to be painted. It's just the part separation is so excellent, and it makes it so easy to paint very specific parts, such as in here in this chest, that gold piece there is a separate piece, so it could have easily just been one giant piece along with the Gatling guns, but they didn't do that. Even on the dual Gatling guns, which I'll show here in a second, those are separated in a sense that makes it easy to paint. The gold or the gray Vulcans here also they're all separate, so very nice. It's very easy to paint. I know one gimmick that the original heavy arms had was that you could take apart this arm and there would be a beam saber in there. This guy doesn't have a beam saber as part of his armament, so these two arms are pretty much symmetrical. There's taking apart this doesn't have a slot or anything like that for a beam saber. So that's a bit that differs it from the original MS. I think part of this backpack is new. I can't really remember. I don't remember if the original had 4 thrusters, but it did have this whole rack system where you could put weapons. So one thing I gotta mention about this guy are the decals. Now, it comes with all water slide decals, which is great, but Bandai, what in good God's name is this decal guide? What is this? This is, what was wrong with the old style? Is this a P-Bandai thing? This is awful. I mean, it's nice that it's all colored, but putting the model at an angle and like having to make lines or little, what's this say exactly? Right side armor. That doesn't tell me anything. It took me so long to figure out that's actually the side skirt. Yeah, this is bad. This just makes the decaling a lot harder than it really should be. Again, I don't know if this is a P-Bandai thing, but yeah, this sucks. And I'm going to leave that like that because now I'd like to move on to the accessories. Considering that this guy is just one giant weapon, we don't have very many weapons. We just have his dual Gatling guns, and these are very nice, very well proportioned, very well detailed. Of course, I painted these barrels are not silver or don't come silver. They come in this very weird pale blue, which I think is accurate to the anime. I don't really remember, but they just look, I do not like that color. I do not like that color. But these, the way I painted them, look very nice. The barrels here come gray. I painted them gunmetal with some silver highlighting. So do these back pieces, and so do these base pieces. They all come gray. The way you hold them is with this handle that flips out, which is very nice. It's very nice to have a hinge there to hide it. And that's so that you can hook it onto the backpack. And the way it does is just a slot. And you flip this way to hold in the arm. So the hand will grip that handle, and then this will plug into a slot on the side of the arm. Now I've left it like this prior to the review because it's very hard to pull that out with that singular peg. But with this out, we can just slot it into the backpack, and they are side specific, even though they look very symmetrical. But they are specific to a side, so that one only goes on that side. And this is very cool, and he can stand up with both of them on his back. And it's a very neat look, but I don't think he does it in the movie. I really cannot remember. But if you want to display your heavy arms like this, you can. And it does look very nice, and this works far better than the original high grade. Just look from the front. As you can see, it's a very cool look. But again, I don't think he ever actually did that in the movie. So, what else do we get? He has the interchangeable fingers, so of course we're going to get an array of fingers to switch out for him, although two of them are kind of useless. So we have our open fingers, which are very nice, good for action poses. We've got the holding hands that we'll be using, holding hands or holding fingers without a peg. We'll be using those for the Gatling guns. And then we have the ones with a big peg in them, and I believe those are just left over from the original heavy arms because nothing on this kit has a hole for a peg. So there's that. We get an action base adapter, and then we get the clown mask, which is very nicely detailed. There's not a lot of detail, but what's there is very crisp. And it's very pronounced, so it's very easy to paint. I just go in there with some Gundam markers. But if you don't want to paint, or you don't have materials, they do give you a sticker. I don't know how well that sticker works. It probably doesn't work very well considering how pronounced the lips are on this thing. And the way you get this on the face is you simply just kind of just lay it in. Now, if I recall in the movie, his heavy arms always had this on. And yeah, it doesn't go on very well at all. I for the life of me cannot get it to stay on the face. It doesn't have a peg. It doesn't really have a tab. They just say in the manual, just go ahead, place it on, and it'll stay forever and ever. But it really doesn't. So if you really want it on your heavy arms and you want it there permanently, you either have to glue it or just use some like sticky tack if you want to end up removing it. But it is a very cool look, but I just cannot get it on the face, no matter how hard I try. Now, those are the official accessories that come with the kit, in the sense that those are meant to go in the kit. You're supposed to have the final product with those pieces. But Bandai, and this is where I think most of the money went and what makes this kit so expensive, it decided to include a hell of a lot of extra parts. So look at how many we have. A full second set of missiles, not just the shoulder missiles or just the leg missiles. No, we have the whole set of shoulder missiles, whole set of leg missiles, a whole set of the side skirt missiles, front skirt missiles, an entire second set. These are for the feet. This is the bracket for the original Gatling guns, which we also get, and that's kind of cool. That means you can actually pick and choose which one they will fit. just look at all these pieces. This is a majority of this runner. So we get that. Here's another part of that runner. We have the original chest, like instead of the turquoise there, they have this because this was originally like blue. We got this piece, whatever this is. We've got another bracket piece for the Gatling guns, neck piece, and then like you almost have everything to make another backpack, and then you have shoulder pieces. So that is a lot of leftover plastic. This is the most extra pieces I've seen ever, and it makes me wonder if Bandai was just too lazy to just exclude those pieces from the runners and switch up the molds, or maybe their mold, because their molds are kind of modular. If you don't know, when I was in Gundam Front Tokyo, they had like an example of one of their molds, and they're kind of modular, so they can like pull in and out pieces. But maybe at this time when they were designing these, they weren't. I don't know, but this is a lot of plastic, and I believe this is where they decided to rack up the price. Now, for people who like to mod or scratch build or whatever, these are like a godsend because you have a lot to work with, and these are very nice pieces. But for people who just don't want, like a eighth of another kit, that's kind of a pain, and you're paying extra for that. Let's go ahead and move on to comparing this guy to the original I should say, the HG 1/100 scale heavy arms custom EW. Now these are about side to side, and interestingly enough, he's a bit bigger. Usually older 90s 1/100 scale high grades are smaller, like the scale is off, but he's bigger. I believe the scale is actually correct with the master grade, it's about 16 meters or 16 centimeters, which would mean it would be 16 meters if it were real. And this guy's a little bit too big. As you can see, the colors here, like I know this guy is weathered, but that sort of blue on there is about what it was when he came out. You can see it's very light. Here I used Gundam marker for the green you see in there, but that's about the same color as the stickers came in with this guy. You can tell that the chest is a lot boxier. See, it's almost flat on the original. And here we've got, it's a bit more angular. The head is kind of interesting if we bring these guys up a little closer. Now, what I find interesting about the head is that even though the Master Grade's head is far more better stylized, looks far more appealing to the eye, I think the head on the original is a bit more anime accurate. The heavy arms, or I guess wing animation in general, had very chunky, flat, stout, fat heads. Not really this nice angular Kotoki redesign. So I actually think the high grade's head looks more accurate. Not as nice, but I think more accurate. Of course, this guy can open up, and it opens up very similarly, but everything just feels a bit loose. The missiles aren't separate, and it just feels a little cheaper, obviously, considering it's older. Chest still opens up. In here, this is kind of an example, as I was talking about. This entire thing is just one piece, so they could have easily done that with the Master Grade, but they didn't, which is nice. These two pieces are stickers. They actually work really well. I was surprised, especially for its age. And just overall, I mean, all the proportions on the Master Grade are better. But I would say that the difference is not as stark as I thought it would be. I thought it would be like night and day, but, looking at just on looks alone, this guy doesn't look too bad. I think the worst thing that looks bad on the original are these arms. As you can see, the original's arm design is just awful. It's like two polycap like materials together, and they just swivel at that part, and that makes it so the Gatling guns cannot be held in the hands. They're just far too heavy for it, and they're not even heavy. Like objectively, they're not heavy pieces. They're very hollow. I have them right here. They're very hollow, and yeah, he can't hold them up because his elbows are just too weak. Speaking of Gatling guns, we'll take a look at one of them here. Here's this compared to the original. As you can see, or I should say, here's this compared to the original. As you can see, it's very small. This is far more chunky, more, vicious looking. Just everything about it is bigger. So, but these don't look, they don't look awful. They're just, when you put them next to this, they look bad, especially since this one's painted. They also hook in backwards. They actually hook in this way on the back. And this little like hook mechanism is awful, and it's hard to get into the back. And there's no peg or anything for the handle, so it just sort of holds in. There's no peg in the side of the arm for it. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, I would say that if you don't paint and you really want the Heavy Arms Custom EW and you don't want to pay this much for the P-Bandai, this guy isn't bad. And that's like very hard for me to say because a lot of these 90s kits are really bad, but this guy in particular isn't that bad. And he still kind of looks pretty good, and he's scaled relatively well. And so I would say that if you have a chance to pick this guy up for a reasonable price, please go for the Master Grade. It's just so much better. It's easier to paint. Accessories look better. Overall looks better. But if you do want a Heavy Arms Custom EW, the HG 1-100 isn't a bad choice. And I think they just started reprinting some of them maybe. But yeah, that's all I got for my review. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye.